Okay, everybody, it's Laura, editor and founder of Paola Lane magazine. I thought I'd do a behind the scenes look video, kind of a follow-up to the last one I did. I did a little painting project to kind of show you a page that I was doing within the magazine, and then I'm going to show you a proof copy, which is here, and I'll bring that back out here in a second. And just kind of let you know what I'm working on this week. The magazine's not quite ready to go out. It'll ship in the fall, not this coming week, but the week after. But I thought you'd be curious to kind of know some of the things that go behind the magazine, and this is the first one I've done, and I'll do more. I've actually have some ideas of how to kind of introduce some of the other issues I've already done. But to start off, the last video I did, I was working on this for you guys, and I had painted this black and I hated it. And so then I put this on it, and I kept trying to do things, and ultimately I hated it. So, but you try. And I tried. This is new for me to use paints, and to do this type of creativity is really new for me. So this is what I ended up with, and I ended up not using it in the magazine, but hey, learning lesson. So that one is tossed out. Another thing that got tossed out, and I'm kind of bummed because the background on this I really liked, but thankfully I did take a picture of it, and I had handwritten, a quote, and I did not like it, again, for the magazine. So that one went out as well. This is a background I had made, and this one I did use in the magazine. So you'll have to get the magazine to see what I did with it. And I think it's kind of fun. So we kept that one and used it. I think I'll show you this one within I'll show you that one there. This is one I started to create, and I never used it. And so just kind of a background. This particular issue of the magazine was called By Hand. My goal was to do each spread by hand. So this is a spread. I don't know if you can kind of see there's a pencil line right here. That's to kind of tell me where, if you were folding the magazine, where the fold would be. So this is one page, another page. So my goal was to do every single spread, which would have been 50 spreads, 50 of these, all by hand. That did not happen at all. And that's okay. By the way, if you hear stuff in the background, my husband's in the studio as well. He's working, we have a vintage typewriter business, and I'll try to put that in the comments if you want to go see it. We have a fairly active YouTube channel called Jot and Tittle Vintage Typewriters, so you can go see that. Okay. So these are some of the so I created pieces that I used within. So someone submitted a thought they had with their artwork, and they just sent it via email, and so I typed it up for them and put that in the magazine, and I'll just show you what it looks like. Here we go. So it ended up, this is her artwork here, and I typed it up and put it there. So that's in the magazine. This piece is the one, I don't know if you saw my last video, and if you did, go back and watch it. Oh, I already threw that. That's the spread that I worked on, and I hated it, and I threw it away. But this was one of the pieces and elements of that, as well as this one. And so what I did is I created, oh, there we go. I just created my own little craft quote sheet, I guess. It says, creative faith is like hoisting a sail to catch the wind. That act of faith to grasp what you can't see opens the floodgates of thought, revelation, and creativity. And I get these specialty papers from different places, this is a coffee stained paper, and it's thick. And so then there's like gold ink on here and some washi tape, and I painted through some stencils, and then I have these stamps with, oops, metallic ink. And so that's what I used for this one. And then on the other side of the page this was like my from the editor typed up. And that ended up, and that was all supposed to be on that one sheet from the last video, which did not work out, and that's okay. And so then the spread came out like this. And unfortunately, when I scanned the, what I ended up doing later with some of the other art pieces like this one, because I really liked the edges of this, I had scanned it and the scan didn't pick up the coffee stains and the tearing of the paper. And so I just had to trim it up because it looked kind of weird. And then this one, I actually just took a photograph of it and then pumped it in. And so this is actually what ended up it looking like. And I'm still in the editing phase, so I can change this. So if I have time, a really busy week, I may take a photograph of this and see if I can bring the torn, because I just love the look of that. And I may see if I can bring that in. But right now, this is what it looks like. So there's a different, sometimes I don't have a quality scanner at all, super cheap scanner. And so sometimes it doesn't pick up some of the beautiful details, or it changes colors. So you start with what's in your hand, like that other quote I showed you. Here we go. Where is it? Start with what's in your hand. That's kind of our motto here. On the back it should say, I don't have my quote. Good thing I saw it. So I have a quote on the back of all my magazines, which I'm so glad I noticed it. And it's because Paola Lane is a place, I don't know if you can see that, where small beginnings lead to endless possibilities. So I never let something that I don't have be an excuse. I just try to do what I can. So there's that. This is a piece I did. I had a piece of craft paper, and it even had paint on it. And it was a little bit bigger, not that big, but it was still torn. And so I ran it through my typewriter, and I typed out some things on it. And that's in the magazine. I'm not going to show you everything. And then this one was really fun. I was cleaning up after I had done a lot of the files for the magazine, and I just had little pieces of stuff everywhere. And these were all leftovers from something else I had done, and some of them were kind of sticking together, and I was like, oh, those pieces kind of look like a garden. So then I just kind of pulled them together and glued them and made a bookmark, and it says, meet me in the garden. And this is also going to be in the magazine. I have an editorial at the end of my magazine that always has a very spiritual focus on it. And so, actually, no, this is one of the articles. So this is an article I wrote, my feature article anyway, called You Just Have to Jump. So I hand wrote it first. Sometimes I'll type them or handwrite them. I just think and work better that way. It helps me slow down and process my thoughts. So that's my article that is now in the magazine. And then this one, I had wanted to be my cover art, and it just didn't work out. I messed up on this so many times that I eventually had to take, this literally is a piece of printer paper that I had taken a copy. I had made a sketch. I'll show you. You can see my really big mess up. So I sketched a hand. Is it in here? Oh, we'll go through it in a minute. Anyway, and it did not work out, and I painted over it, and it was hideous, and I threw it away. So I tried again. And so because printer paper is really thin, I glued it to this piece of poster board and then used some gesso to kind of thicken it up, and I started painting on it, and I kept messing up. It just kept messing up, and it looked terrible and terrible, and it's still not great. I mean, you guys, I'm not an artist. I literally started sketching and painting less than 3 months ago. And I finally took a big brush, kind of like this, and watered down some teal paint, and I just started going over it because I'm like, I'm done. But I was so frustrated, I just wanted to paint over it, you know. And there's at least 5 different layers of versions of this on this piece of paper. This piece of paper is probably worn through in some places. And when that happened, this part kind of still shone through. So then I took a paper towel and just kind of wiped this, like this. You can kind of see where it kind of went from here to here. And then I just left it because for me, it was like a revelation in that, wow, you know, if I look, I can see all the layers. I can see the pink. I did hot pink for a while and purples. I can see the leaves. And I actually like this part. I had tried to paint leaves wrapping around the fingers, really as a sign of the life that comes out of our hands. You could just see elements of it. This part right here had been repainted probably 7 or 8 times. It was a mess, and I finally just put a big old fern leaf there. But if I look, I can see the elements of all the things where I really messed up. But they kind of come together, and I thought it ended up looking really cool. And so I used it as an article. And see, here's my "What do you have in your hand?" And then I pulled out typed up some Bible verses that kind of have to do with just starting out with what's available to us and then letting God kind of do the rest. And you'll see this. I don't know how I had it laid out, but you'll see this in the, again, in the magazine. And I have an article kind of about this. So that's just kind of a behind the scenes. Let me show you I got 2 sketchbooks, and these are what I used to develop this magazine, and I'll show you my proof copy here in a second. The way I do each one is different, but I do a lot of creativity to brainstorm. So this time I got sketchbooks. Actually, this was already in there. And I just started sketching out ideas. There's that first one where I had sketched it in here and it looked pretty cool, and then I tried painting and it was so bad. And you can just see and I might come back and like paint over this, I don't know. And took some notes in here. And then I bought a painting class, just really cheap, like a sketchbook class. And so these are just some of the pages. Not all of these are in the magazine. This magazine, again, my thought was I'm going to paint as much as I can and try to develop, you know, actual handmade spreads. And didn't quite work out that way, but that's okay. And so these are just some of the things I created. This was just from cleaning my brush. This was a day I had a nightmare, and actually I talk about it in the magazine in my editorial at the very end. I talk about my nightmare, and so after my nightmare, I painted this. I didn't use these. I think they're really cool. It's just obviously they're abstract things. They're really cool, and I wanted to use them in the magazine, and I didn't. I ended up using this one. Again, this is becoming my favorite style, and I don't know, I call it my messy Marvin style. And I think it's because I have to deal with so many details, and I have to be so, and I'm learning, but I need to be really perfect in developing a magazine, that I'm loving abstract. In a way, it's almost like an outlet for all of my mistakes. So I included this in the magazine, not the other ones. These 2 are at the very end. These were just kind of funky, just following along in the painting class. This one I did on my own. I messed up, and so then I went back and I just created my own thing. And I wish I'd put it in the magazine, but again, in a way, I kind of ran out of time. And that's in there. This is actually a challenge in the magazine for you to create your own. And you can download some of these when you purchase the magazine. There's a link there for you to download these. And then this was a collage I created for the magazine. But you'll see in the magazine, I took graphic, I put fonts here. So there's a quote here and here to kind of add to this. And there's a story behind this image. And so again, you'll have to get the magazine to read about that. But this is cool. This we have a huge collection of Life magazines from the 40s and 50s and 60s. And so I found this girl in one of the magazines and cut her out and used it and found some fabric. You can see one of her beads fell off. I think I saw it the other day. Haven't done anything here yet. This is kind of just like waiting for me to come back and do something. And then I decided to create, this is my first working with watercolors. I kind of did color here. I just wanted to see what the colors look like. And I put pieces of tape along here and then pulled them up after I'd painted, and I created bookmarks. And so again, these are in the magazine for people to download and either you can add your own. I left blanks here for you to add stuff, or there'll be a link where you can download the individual bookmarks and use. That's just a benefit for my subscribers. And that's all I have in this particular scrapbook that I did. But then I also got this one. And I hope you guys find this interesting in terms of kind of what goes on, thought processes, and what I do to come up with ideas for a magazine, and then to see what the end product is, because a lot of times it's so different and you might think, how did you get from this to that? And you don't know how to tell you other than the starting point is never usually the finish. But there's obviously a lot of prayer. I personally pray over every page I do, every word I write. Doesn't mean it comes out exactly right or I hear perfectly, but that is my heart. So my very first try at florals is here. A couple more florals. Again, I wanted to include these, and I think I put this in my table of contents page. Let's see if I did. Well, we're going to go through. Yeah, so there it is there. So you can kind of see where it goes from this to this. Here I'm just practicing leaves. Still have a long way to go. I ended up liking that. When I first did this, I hated it. I mean, hated it. These right here were just totally messed up. And I didn't want to just like totally discount this. So I came back later and made it kind of look like dahlias. And I'm not sure how I did it, but I got just really, I put the paint on really thick and I just started twisting on there because they just didn't come out. And I don't remember exactly what I did. And when I was done and it dried, I was like, I actually really like that. So this is a huge page. It's a full spread in the magazine. It's actually the center spread. Me just practicing here with my learning to use different brushes and cleaning my brushes here. Just some abstracts. And I'm really enjoying this process of learning something new. I painted this and I was going to use it for a quote, and I still really like it, but it didn't fit within the magazine. I kept trying to make it fit and it just didn't fit. I don't know how to explain that. And then I had hand done with, and it initially was in the magazine. I ended up taking it out and creating what replaced it was this, ended up replacing this. So what I did is I got some black acrylic, or I don't know if this has gesso or acrylic in it. And it's a needlepoint bottle. Don't have my glasses on. There we go. And then what I did is I just wrote out my quote. And it was in the magazine, and I liked it there for a minute, but then I was like, no. What I've learned with publications, some things work and some things don't. And so this didn't work. This did. So that's all I can tell you. But those are the sketches or the brainstorming sessions I did for this magazine. And this is my proof copy. I don't have my black marker. Where's my black marker? But anyway, This isn't the final one. This is my proof copy. I'll be going through this today, and like I'll be changing. I can't see. I don't know if I have a light marker. I don't know what I'm going to use. I need a hot pink or something like that. I'm going to have to find a marker that'll work, where I can write out my changes. And I may, with each issue, I put the issue number here, and I use kind of a specific set of fonts within each magazine. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to do that, or if I'm going to create a like a little button or something here and make it consistent, you know, like my logo is consistent in terms of the font. I don't know. I may leave this, I don't know, or I may move this up. These are things that I'm going through right now. I know this is hard to read, but that is intentional. But I will be bringing my header down. The printer, he said this is his problem. He didn't get the binding centered, but I really like the thicker external bindings here. So what I may do is I may just widen this so that it stays out here and it just extends over here. So those are the kinds of things that I will go through. I have a couple days to do it and get it back to him before he does a final print, and he'll have to make some adjustments, like he didn't line up all of the images properly in this issue, so he'll work on that. Plus I'll probably create a little bit more space here. And so this is what I do, is I just start flipping through, like this is going to be smaller, a smaller image, and I'll also bring this over. I'll bring all these over. This page actually looks good. If I have time, I may try to get this in there with the edges, but this is not a priority. You know, so this is kind of what I do, is I start going through and marking things, and seeing it. Do I like the font? Like, I like this font. It is small. And like my 53-year-old eyes, I need glasses to read it. So I'm going to question bigger font. I don't know. I haven't decided. Sometimes, and this is that piece I told you, that my abstract piece, it's right here. And so I'll go through, there's that center. Oh, it is the center. No, it's not the center piece. I thought this was the center piece. No. Anyway, so like I'll notice, hey, this is an issue here. So that's where I'm at right now. There's that picture that I told you about, and I have a little write-up about it. But anyway, so that's a little bit, here's a mistake here of what I do. I was going to try to find that. I have worksheets. Here's a worksheet here, and I really encourage people to do it. And so that's actually what I'm going to start doing for my videos, is I'm going to go back, I'm going to take each of my magazine issues, and I'm going to turn it to an art journal, because that's what I really want it to be. I don't want you guys, I'm going to change the font. I don't like the font in this article. And there's that torn piece. Here it is. That torn piece of paper. Got to move this over. Anyway, so this, I really want people, there's some of the other pieces, to, in the bookmarks, use this. This is really meant for you guys to meditate on. This is where I talk about that dark painting that I showed you. Obviously, I didn't include that painting in here. And here's it's a Queen Esther one, and you can see the graphics I added to that. Again, change font. This is a font that I use often, but I'm not liking it in this particular issue. And there's Tom Hanks. All right, so you have to get the magazine to read the rest. But that's just a little bit behind the scenes for issue number 6. Me changing these up. and they start shipping next week. Obviously, some of you are going to watch this video much, much later. The nice thing about our issues is they're always available. They're not seasonal. I want them to be journals, so a lot of people that order them go back and collect the previous issues. So here's a couple of the previous. There's 5, here's 4, here's 3. I don't have 2 in 1 here, but what I'm going to start doing, because I want you guys to really interact, this is supposed to be a thought-provoking magazine, where you actually read the articles and think about it and interact with it. And so I'm going to do it with you. I know sometimes we have intentions of doing it, but to actually go in and interact, see how he, this lines up really well. A lot of the lining up in this one was not correct. And so he's on vacation though, so I can't ask him if that's his issue or my issue. So I'm going to start creating these as art journals and start writing notes. I'm going to start doing the worksheets in here that I have you guys to do, in hopes that, maybe we can do it together, or it'll kind of prime your interest in actually, there's my stepdaughter, isn't she gorgeous? Do things. There she is again, and my stepson, and my son-in-law, and my granddog. Isn't he cute? This is Niall. He's got a little brother now. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Paola Lane.